All right, the linebackers edition of State of the 49ers came out today, this morning on The Athletics. I've gone ahead and I put the link to the article in the chat section. I'm going to put it in the comment section after this video is fully done with its live and posted on YouTube. But it's time to talk about the 49ers' potentially healthiest position group at this stage right now, as far as not just physical health. I'm not talking just injuries, but general outlook and performance in 2021 combined with the prognosis for 2022 and beyond. And I think this team has to be really happy with where they are at the linebacker position. And that's a credit to Johnny Holland, who was receiving treatment for multiple myeloma this season. So he missed the majority of the year. He was around a little bit at the team facility, but wasn't the full-time linebackers coach. But it's a credit to James Betcher, who just went and took another job with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to be the head linebackers coach there. But the entire 49ers staff, of course, including defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, a former linebacker himself, has done a great job with this unit. And the results really do show, especially when that unit has been able to take the field healthy. And that, yes, that was an issue this year for the 49ers, especially for Dre Greenlaw. But let's talk some 49ers linebackers, because this was solid. And here comes Leon, the dog. Maybe he'll get into the video this time. We'll see. He's running around. He's excited. He made a guest appearance the other day, so I hope that you guys go ahead and watch that one. Subscribe to the channel. We have a Trey Lance film breakdown that is all part of a long series, 1 out of 8 episodes. I'm doing an episode per quarter of Trey Lance starts. So there's 8 quarters, obviously, between Arizona and the Houston Texans games in weeks 5 and 17. So be sure to check that out. And also be sure to subscribe right now, because we're going through the state of the 49ers, and this is what the linebacker position looks like as far as performance in the 2021 season. Warner, 137 tackles. Al-Shair, 102. Dre Greenlaw, 21, because they only played, 3 games in the regular season. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, 29 tackles, and Marcel Harris, 44. Blue is good, red is bad. Some of these metrics are different than other ones, so you have to use the full picture, right? Then you have to watch the tape as well. But Fred Warner, he's especially good in coverage. And snaps per reception, that means that he gave up a catch once every 12.4 coverage snaps, which was the 3rd lowest total in the league amongst NFL linebackers. That was really good. Al-Shair wasn't quite as good in coverage. He was below average, gave up catches about twice as often as Warner. Dre Greenlaw above average. I mean, we all know that he's got a legacy of covering the opposing pass games well in a 49ers uniform. Remember week 17 against Seattle in 2019. Flanagan-Fowles, obviously less time on the field for the 49ers, but he did well. And Marcel Harris was a work in progress at linebacker after switching there this season from safety. Remember, Flanagan-Fowles also was a safety conversion coming out of college, but Marcel Harris, he started his 49ers career as a strong safety, played linebacker for the first time this year. The coverage, snaps per reception metric, not as good, but he does better in opposing passing rating because of the interception. Remember, Harris intercepted the Houston Texans later in the season. You had Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. He didn't have an interception, but the passer rating allowed wasn't as bad because he didn't give up, I don't think, a touchdown pass this season. Dre Greenlaw had the pick 6 against Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions in week 1. So that helped his rating. Al-Shair, despite the fact that he did intercept Kirk Cousins, that was a big one against Minnesota. He did give up 3 touchdown passes, so that hurt his rating. And Warner, when we talk about Fred Warner, the 49ers are going to need more takeaways from him. They got one in the postseason on a nice strip that changed the course of the Green Bay game. But other than that, I think there was a forced fumble for Fred Warner in the regular season, but no interceptions. A year after he had 2 in 2020. And if you look at Darius Leonard, who got paid just a few days after Fred Warner this year, remember Warner signed the most lucrative contract of all time for a linebacker, and then Darius Leonard usurped him for that spot a few days later. Well, look, in the article here, we had Leonard's number. Leonard's numbers on this season as far as takeaways went were prolific. 8 forced fumbles, recovered 7, and 4 interceptions. Warner had those 137 tackles, But as Matt Barrows wrote in this part of our breakdown, the big momentum-changing plays that Leonard had become known for simply were not there. So we got Leon here. He's gonna visit us here for a second. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Come on, Leon. You got to get in the camera here. There he is. You got to get higher. You got to get higher. Jump up. Jump up. Here. Up here. I'm struggling. There he is. And Leon makes his appearance for the second time on the YouTube live here at Trent Hadley's house. And we're still trying to figure out how to get portrait mode to focus a little bit better on him. But there he is. That's the great Leon. And we're going to be analyzing 49ers linebackers. He's going to take off now as we talk. Well, he'll just sit here. So it'll be good. But the 49ers linebacker situation, it starts and ends with Warner. The thing, though, is he's going to need that supporting cast to be his best, to be at their best. So you had Dre Greenlaw hurt with that core muscle injury. He missed several games, played only 3 in the regular season. Azeez Al-Shair also dealt with injuries this year. So I think that for a lot of the year, Warner had to shoulder more than he was optimally comfortable with. And that's why you saw the 49ers surge to an excellent efficiency at linebacker come the postseason. Because then you had all 3 of the guys healthy. Then you had all 3 of your top dogs out there. Dogs, I guess, pun intended here with a dog sitting right next to me. But you had Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shair, and Dre Greenlaw all firing at full cylinders come the playoffs. And that's so important to the 49ers defense because they run the wide 9 up front. And the wide 9 means the defensive linemen for pass rushing purposes are going to have big gaps in between them. So you better have fast linebackers to fill those gaps in the run game. And you better have fast linebackers to dissuade opposing teams from operating the short pass game, because the short pass game is a lethal counterattack to the pass rush. So you have to dissuade the short pass game and stop the run game to allow your pass rush to eat. That requires physical, fast linebackers who can also cover. And when you have Warner, when you have Greenlaw, when you have Al-Shaair, the 49ers have that in tow with their defense. So for me, you look at Warner's performance, and I thought that he settled in, but it was a down year in terms of takeaways. And we talked about this versus Darius Leonard. He's going to have to generate more takeaways moving forward. But I thought that the postseason was a great sign in that regard. I mean, he changed the game. The 49ers don't beat the Packers in the divisional playoffs if Fred Warner doesn't register that strip when the 49ers are down and when the Packers have all the momentum. So that's the kind of impact that you look for your big money players to have. And Fred Warner delivered it. And I thought that down the stretch, he became the player that the 49ers need. Part of it might have been him getting used to playing under his new lucrative contract. But I think a bigger part of it was Fred Warner simply having Azeez Al-Shair and Dre Greenlaw on the field with him. There was an emergence from Azeez Al-Shair this year. And it was impressive. The guy was flying around. The guy was hitting. Unfortunately, his taunting penalty in the NFC Championship game, deserve it or not, probably opened the door for the Rams to open their comeback. But why don't we talk about the contributions that Azeez Al-Shair made this year? And he became that linebacker that the 49ers needed to support Fred Warner, especially when Dre Greenlaw was out. So now Azeez is going to be a restricted free agent. What does that mean? Well, it means that the 49ers can put a right of first refusal tender on him, or they can put a first or a second round tender on him. The cost of the first round tender would be something like a $5 million contract. Don't quote me on that. It could be $6 million. I'm not sure what the tenders are this year without looking, but the second round tender might cost about $4 million for Azeez Al-Shair. Right of first refusal, a little bit over $2 million. Which one is he worth? Well, I don't think Azeez is a household name around the league yet, but the 49ers really respect him, and I think they really want him around to keep this linebacking core intact. So I think they're going to tender him, and we'll see at which level they do. We'll see how much he's worth to them, and we'll see if they're able to fill out that linebacker room, because right now, if you look at the 49ers depth chart at the position, it's right here. You have Warner and Greenlaw as the only 2 players under contract. Warner obviously under contract for several more seasons, but Dre Greenlaw is entering a contract year. This is going to be the final season of his rookie deal. And when you talk about Greenlaw, well, Kyle Shanahan had some complimentary words about him. See Greenlaw, Mike Tyson? Well, why don't we search for it in the article right here? Because Shanahan, after that Week 18 games against the Rams, said, I thought him playing out there was like watching Mike Tyson. in that uniform. He was so in the zone. Honestly, if I was a fan, I probably would have been wearing his jersey in the stands that day because he plays the way I love to watch. Big praise. And Kyle Shanahan even mentioned that he thought that Dre Greenlaw looks a little bit like Mike Tyson. So that was, Azeez was still out in week 18. So Greenlaw came back. And the Niners had Warner and Greenlaw was out there with a vengeance. I mean, he was out there on a mission. He was hitting. He was flying around. I know there were 2 personal fouls there, but the 49ers, you constantly have that balance between playing with your hair on fire and not committing penalties. But 12 tackles, 49ers probably don't make the playoffs if Dre Greenlaw doesn't come back. And Shanahan said that the players were very inspired that Dre Greenlaw worked to come back from his injury at 100% in week 18. So that was so huge for the 49ers. And you got a taste of what this unit can do if you have both Warner and Greenlaw. And then in the postseason, you saw what they can do when they have all 3, when they have Al-Shair in there as well. Finally, Marcel Harris and Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. These guys didn't play nearly as much at the linebacker position, but they're big-time special teams contributors. And they're both players that I think the 49ers would like to retain. Flanagan-Fowles is going to be an exclusive rights free agent. And Marcel Harris is going to be an open free agent here at this point. So we'll see what's, where the priorities lie, what kind of money these players can get. But I think in the case of Harris, he's such a fresh conversion from safety that the 49ers are absolutely in a position where they should be able to afford him next year. And I think they're going to want to maintain the status quo at this linebacker position just because when it was healthy, it did work so well. All right, I'm going to take a couple questions and then I'm going to get going and encourage you to watch some of the other videos, including the sandwich one and the Trey Lance one that I put up today. When Greenlaw and Al-Shair are in, you see a big difference. Absolutely. This is another good point from Quinn Price. Al-Shair ran the defense when Fred was injured, and he did a good job because the 49ers finally saw a little bit of missed time from Fred Warner this season, who's one of the most durable players in football. So that is a good point. Leono's done time. He's a badass. Don't trust that cute face. Oh, man. Hi, David. Do you foresee a situation in which the team loses too many free agents and thus is unable to compete at a high level? Of course. That's always a consideration and a fear whenever the salary cap and free agency are factors in building a team. So the 49ers are trying to avoid that. The 49ers are trying to stay cap responsible. They don't want to lose too much of the margins. They want to draft well so that you can afford to lose some of those free agents and you can infuse that young, healthier talent into a team. And the 49ers linebackers were a strong rock for us. Yes, there was such a rock for the 49ers. That is true. And that's a good note to end on. So thanks for a couple of the questions. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Again, three videos today. We have one of the best sandwiches in the Bay Area out here in Walnut Creek. Watch that one. I have my thoughts on Adam Schefter and Jimmy Garoppolo and all that noise. And then we have a very extensive breakdown of Trey Lance. And there's at least seven more coming. So the State of the 49ers series has been fun. But I think you guys are going to like the quarterback breakdowns even more. So helping take you through this slow period. And it's about to end because I'm about to fly out to the NFL Combine here in just a few days. So stay tuned, subscribe, and talk to you soon.